Hi, my name is Paul Rogers. I'm a cybersecurity trainer and founder of DPO Solutions. So in this informational video, we're going to discuss the DORA 10-point pre-assessment workbook, which is a companion to our 2025 DORA primer training course, which is available in our shop. So pre-assessments are a crucial first step in compliance before stakeholders actually commit time and resources to a project plan. Our 10-step pre-assessment questionnaire helps you avoid the costly mistakes by ensuring you identify any issues and gaps in your environment so that you have a strong foundation to build on. For using our scoring mechanism, if you get 90% or more, you will be compliant with the new regulation. But it's important to note that some organizations may have derogations from competent authorities or other situations, which mean that not every question we cover here applies to your organization. So let's take a look at our questions in the assessment and how they map to DORA's core 5 pillars. If you need to familiarize yourself with the DORA 5 pillars, check out our DORA primer course available on our YouTube channel on dposolutions.training on YouTube. So let's look at the first question, and it's asking whether you have a well-established risk governance framework like ISO 27000 or NIST SP 800 and an accompanying business continuity management framework in place. The reason this is important is that DORA favors organizations who are using an established risk management framework. And if you believe that you're fully compliant in this area, you can go ahead and check the status here, which will turn it to green. Otherwise, you can enter in a reason code or comment as to why there may be some gap that you may need to address later. So then moving to our second question, this question checks whether you're conducting regular resilience testing for all your financial services ICT infrastructure and whether it's been checked by an independent assessor. Tests are expected to be performed annually under DORA for all critical infrastructure and applications, which includes vulnerability, source code analysis tools, and a thing called TLPTs, or threat level pen tests. DORA has a requirement for an independent assessor to perform resilience testing, which you may already be doing, but it also wants you to look at threat level pen tests. So what are threat level pen tests? Well, in this case, they're essentially structured red team tests for the financial sector. They may sometimes also be referred to as TIBER tests, depending on which assessor you use. These teams will use real-world attack methods to infiltrate and otherwise compromise data and systems with the permission of the target organization. They may look to see if application vulnerabilities can be exploited, for example, and report on the success in stealing data and modifying code. Under DORA, they are required annually and are used to help gauge the efficiency of current security controls and the organization's ability to prevent, detect, and respond to cyber attacks. So then moving on to question 3 over here, it was to check that you have established procedures for securely sharing security incident information with competent authorities, including indicators of compromise, tactics, techniques, and procedures. This is something that you may already have in place, but under DORA, they want to promote the idea of sharing information confidentially with competent authorities, for the greater good, let's say, of the financial services community. So question 4 here asks you whether you have a documented incident reporting process. This should include a formal incident management process, incident classification of cyber threats, a voluntary notification process for significant threats, common reporting templates, and centralization of incident reporting. This question is really a follow-on to question 3, where specific elements of your incident management process are to check that specific elements of your incident management process are in place. So same as before, ensure that DORA competent authorities are included in the incident reporting process for major events. The question 5 here is relatively straightforward. where it asks you whether your risk management framework has a management body to oversee its implementation and ensure periodic reviews of BCP and audit plans. It will also include strategies, policies, procedures, ICT protocols, and tools that are necessary to duly and adequately protect all information assets and ICT assets. This question will almost certainly be fulfilled if you're following an ISMS framework to reasonable capability and maturity level. So then looking at questions 6 and 7, they really look to validate that you have appointed official roles to oversee and test DORA objectives. So they're looking for a DORA risk director to be appointed by the executive board. And this person will be qualified to advise the board on compliance efforts and issues. And they will also be expected to sign off on question 7, which requires a qualified risk assessor who's responsible for control selection and signing off on reports for compliance purposes. So question 8 here, you've established a vendor contract revision process. This really gets to the heart of the vendor risk management process under DORA's five pillars. It requires that you have established a vendor contract revision process which reviews DORA objectives on a regular basis, at least yearly that is. Putting it simply, you need to risk assess your vendors and ensure they're on the same page as your operational resiliency environment. So then on to question 9. It's relatively straightforward in that it's questioning whether you have established comprehensive backup policies and procedures. Said procedures must delineate the scope of the data covered, the frequency of backups, and the minimum requirements based on data criticality and confidentiality. Again, if you're following an ISO, NIST, or FISMA type framework, which is a federal framework, there will likely already be in place. So it's really just a validations question, just validating that you have an established and effective backup policy. Then we look at question 10, which relates to documented policies for what conditions it's acceptable to use ICT third parties in the supply chain. These conditions must include reviews of their cybersecurity and the resilience to cyber attacks. So then we've looked here at the 10 questions. Once you've done that and you've checked off each one of these, what we're looking for then is a 90% score. Once you've done that, then you can head over to your change log. You can save this, head over to your change log, and then you can mark in the areas that you've done so if you're doing it for the first time, this is just a sample here. If you're doing it for the first time, you mark initial description, conduct initial assessment when you've completed it, and then your score. Then obviously if there are gaps, you come back and add in at a later date the gaps, and ideally then you'll get to a 90% mark or more. The last tab over here is the Dropdown Keys. These are just color-coded and probably won't have to change them, but if you need to change colors, etc., you can go ahead in here and change any of the color coding, and these will map out to the other areas so that you can mark them as complete and change the codes as necessary. So that's it for our information video. I hope that you found it's useful. And of course, be sure to follow, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as your support really helps. So thanks again, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you.